Welcome to the Prog Talks by the Progspace. Welcome to the Prog Talks, an interview series by the Progspace where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene.
Welcome back to a special bonus episode of the Prog Talks. I'm your host Dario, and as always, before we jump in, a little reminder, please get us a cup of coffee, or you can also get the cup itself in our shop. Helps us out a lot. And now, without further ado, this is, after a long time, once again, a discography episode. I did two back in 2 years ago with the Progcast about Pain of Salvation with Daniel Gildenlow and Eva Gray with Jason from the Prog Mind. And those are two Swedish prog metal bands that have been around for a long time, obviously. But today I'm super happy that I have here on the Prog Talks Roy Kahn and Tore Østby from Conception, of course, from Norway. Legendary Norwegian prog metal band. And well, you guys, you had some really cool albums back in the 90s for your original run, and then there was a little bit of quiet time in the Conception camp. You guys were busy with other stuff, and then you returned with new stuff, and now finally the first 4 albums are back with special edition, and that's of course the occasion we took here to talk about the discography and the older albums maybe a little bit. So first of all, thank you for taking the time, and maybe you can just start with reminiscing a little bit about the first album, which was of course The Last Sunset, and how the band got together end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, let me first say it's real nice to be here. Thanks for having us. Getting the band together, that took a little while. I think we started trying out some lineups from November '89, and step by step. First found Arve, then Ingard, and finally, through a fellow friend of ours, found Roy. So it was first in 1991 that the lineup was solid for what we wanted to achieve.
And it's been solid ever since for the times you were active as Conception, right?
Absolutely, and it was finding this combination. When we first had it, then we were quite confident. I mean, we found something very special together.
Yeah,
Tore, you want to say something?
Yeah, I don't really have that much to fill. Sorry about my voice. I woke up this morning totally stuffed up, so bear with me. But I just remember getting this phone call from Tore, and he asked me whether I was interested in coming to audition for this metal band about 10 kilometers from like an hour away from me, and I didn't have anything better to do that day, so I went up there with my girlfriend. And I mean, the story is quite well known, but they played me the first few seconds of War of Hate, and I remember deciding within just seconds that okay, this is it. I want to be part of this regardless. And my girlfriend at the time, she looked at how they were dressed and everything. They came there with greasy hair and all dressed up in black, hoodies and leather. On a really hot summer's day, and she said, "Dude, you're not gonna join those guys, are you?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." Didn't you hear it? Didn't you hear what they just played? And of course, she didn't know, she didn't have any idea. She didn't like that type of music, anyways. But yeah, I mean, the rest is history.
So yeah, the Last Sunset was originally released through, I think, Norwegian record label CSF in 1991.
That was our own record label.
Financed.
I see. But then for the second album, and the I don't have that original, with the black cover with the band lineup. Which, apart from you two guys, we can also say that it also features Inger Ablin on bass and then Arve Heimdal on drums,
right.
Which is the complete Conception lineup. And well, a couple of years later, 1993, there was the second album, Parallel Minds. And that was released through Noise Records. And I think then there was this re-release happening of The Last Sunset, also through Noise Records with this new cover and the new logo.
Yeah, correct.
There's already a change, a bit like an evolution. You can hear it between those two records, as a lot of The Last Sunset was quite raw still and really heavy, moving forward, like fast, and some thrashy riffs even. And Parallel Minds was a little bit more hard rocky, I had the feeling. So how did the evolution feel for you at that time, songwriting wise?
I think when we started off in the end of the 80s, I was also very inspired by the whole thrash metal scene, Testament, Metallica, and so on. And I think during the whole journey of Conception so far, every record is a testament of what we're into and what we like and what we feel at the moment we do it. So I think it's partly, that there was a lot of thrash metal influence that was particularly strong in the early 90s. And then it's also developing, and finding new inspiration, new sources, wanting to explore new ways of writing and performing.
I really think the whole band, both, each and every one of us as individuals and the band as a unit was in really rapid development at that time. Remember, I think Tor was only 19. And the rest of us were in our early 20s, when you meet like that, we had just met, all of us, and all four of us knew that this is it. And that energy that flows out of something like that is almost magical. So the development has to do with different inspirations, of course, like Tor said, and the band developing both individually and as a unit. But also you have the fact that we had more time, more money with a budget from Noise. We had a producer coming in, Tor and me, and the rest of the band, of course, was also writing songs from the beginning as a unit. Although Tor was back then, as he still is, the prime engine in this thing. But there were a few things that made the seemingly huge leap from Last Sunset to Parallel Minds.
And I think that's very important what Roy is saying there also, that because when I did the Last Sunset, Roy didn't have the possibility to come and shape that album a lot, because we'd already recorded a few songs, like the music with tracks to it, when we finally found Roy. And Parallel Minds is also the first really joint effort, I would say. I mean, like the title track, Last Sunset, that I think was the only track we had the time to really write from scratch for the first record, if I don't remember wrong.
Yeah.
So of course, also feeding off each other and knowing how each other actually works and how Roy's voice is, and that's also helping to set some kind of a direction subconsciously.
Yeah, I think the title track of The Last Sunset is like this slower, moodier thing. Not exactly a ballad, but also not a heavy metal song somehow. And later, like on the third album, the title track "In Your Multitude" has like a similar slow feel and moody. Roy, for you as a singer, I think it's quite interesting for singers to hear, for metal singers or people who listen to metal. Beautiful landscape there, beautiful Norwegian landscape there.
I'm in Stockholm actually. It's I'm exploring as we speak. I didn't know we were going to do this on webcam, so you can't be trekking around. But it's really nice there, isn't it?
Yeah, well, beautiful. Roy, I remember when I was a teenager and getting into metal, and also like having classical singing lessons and developing my classical voice, singing voice, and I really got into heavy metal, and I was like, damn, I could never sing like James Hetfield or what, and it's like there's barely any metal band with a little bit more of a classical timbre, and then I found Conception, like probably 2003 or 2004, how was it for you to bring that kind of voice into a back then thrashy metal environment?
Well, I mean, I'd been listening to metal for a few years when I joined Conception, but I'm not sure. I've if anything, I think back then at least, I wish I had more of a rough voice. It wasn't until later that I realized that this thing that I find a weakness is maybe actually my strength and what makes me unique in the genre, or gives me a signature as a singer. So I wasn't too happy about my own contribution singing wise in the beginning, to be honest. I always wish I had more, guts and grit and rasp in my voice, but it worked out somehow.
we were super happy, and there's also this contrast, to the really heavy riffs, Roy's voice. And how it did it came out fantastic. So Roy can speak for himself, but I remember we were over the moon happy about Roy's vocals. Also, like, it's not only a matter of raspiness; it's also a matter of expression, and you can do things in intensity, even not screaming your head off. But that's also something that always made Roy very unique, because he's got this unique way of expressing. It's not only about the voice.
But I think those kind of qualities is not something you really understand to appreciate at that age,
No.
So that's a revelation that came to me gradually over the years. But I'm very happy that. But I had to make a choice. I was actually aiming for the Norwegian Opera School at the time when I joined Conception. I was taking lessons with a very famous Norwegian opera teacher, and she was just super disappointed that I had started in a rock band, and told me, "Hey, you gotta make a choice here. I'm not going to waste my time on somebody that's going to ruin his voice on a rock band." So, but the choice was kind of easy. I was so 15 seconds into War of Hate. So
I'm sorry, Norwegian opera scene that I ruined it for you.
I totally forgot back when we did, especially the Pain of Salvation discography episode with Daniel Gilmer. I always ask Daniel about his favorite song on the record. So maybe you can also do you have a favorite of The Last Sunset?
Me personally, I really like The Last Sunset, which might sound a little bit, I'm a little bit biased since I co-wrote that song but I mean, it is my favorite on the album. It's just, frankly,
Good choice. Cannot argue with that.
But I think, vocally, I totally agree with Roy. But for me, the favorite's probably Among the Gods because it shows also this diversity and feature elements that has been kind of signature for also albums to come.
Yeah, I mean that whole flamenco touch that tour gave the band with his style of playing guitar was actually what caught the attention of for example the BBC Friday Tommy Dance's Friday Rock Show. And personally also I really think that a song like that and War of Hate and other songs on the album were more important to the band's success, in those on that first the recognition of the band on that first record. But personally, I like vocally, I like Last Sunset much better than most of the other songs.
I would throw in probably the completely odd one out, Bow Down with Sorrow.
Yeah,
which has this weird tempo, which is not quite slow doom metal, but it's not even half time pace. It's like it's got a super weird tempo, but then it develops into the chorus, and it's like a very unique song, I think.
It's a great song. Me and Tor actually talked about doing a remake of that song the other day.
Yeah,
it's a great song. Isn't that song about? I mean, a lot of people think that's a song about, love, heartbreak, but it wasn't your transmission that broke down your car.
That's what I used to say. I was 19 and it was too tough to talk about feelings. Stupidly enough. Actually, it was about my grandmother who died in a helicopter accident that year.
Oh, wow.
So it was about the loss of her. But I didn't want to go into emotional stuff. So it's about my gearbox.
Yeah. I remember that helicopter accident though. That was news all over the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was about.
I don't think I told anyone. I think I was told over you. So that's one of two lyrics that I ever wrote for Conception.
Okay, that's also very interesting for me. This is actually my second favorite album of the just talking the original four, as it was also the second the second album that I discovered. Parallel Minds, I've got to admit, I never really got that much into it because it was always overshadowed by my very, very favorite one here. which was the album I discovered Conception with.
Right.
So the hard rock album, Parallel Minds, what would you say is your favorite song from that?
Me, I think I would say. I mean, I like the title track, but that has quite a bit to do with the lyrics. But I also love. When I look back at, listen back to Silent Crying and Roll the Fire, which happened to be also amongst our, most popular tracks from the heydays. I really those maybe especially Roll the Fire and Silent Crying. I would say. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, I think most of the time, if there's like band hits, like the most popular songs, it's gotta have some background in how good the songs are. It doesn't happen like that. There's gotta be some foundation in a really good song that they become so popular.
Mm-hmm. And a song consists of. No, go ahead, Tor.
No, I mean for us it's often like this that we don't really think about what we do, we just do. What I remember though with Roll the Fire, I think it started with that main riff, and that kind of resembles also Spanish guitars, but played with distorted guitars. And the demo of Roll the Fire, you even used to have a flamenco solo or a Spanish guitar solo, which we cut out. You can hear that on that deluxe version of State of Deception. We included the original demo to Roll the Fire. But the song just gradually just grew from that, and I remember when we also started to play it in the rehearsal room, it was almost impossible to stand still. I had to jump, like, yeah, this energy.
I still remember the moment when I came into the rehearsal room and heard "Roll the Fire" for the first time. The opening riff and Huskistan was there to, add that fat, pad on the intro. That was big time goosebump moment.
And we were probably so eager for you to come. Oh, you have to check this out. You have to check this out.
Yeah, you just mentioned the demo that was on the Deluxe Edition reissue of My Dark Symphony of the new album, but on the Deluxe Reissue editions of the original 4 albums that are coming out now, there's also some demos on it, and especially on The Last Sunset, there's Midnight Sun, Bound to Suffer, and By Dawn's Early Night, right? So from
Dawn's Early Light.
Yeah, but from which era do these demos come from, and why were they left on the table?
So they have different history. I think Midnight Sun and Bound to Suffer was written just after we had done Last Sunset.
Yeah.
And By Dawn's Early Light, I went 3 years to like a music high school or whatever, and you would have to have an examen. And that's when I wrote By Dawn's Early Light, which is an instrumental, and I demoed it with Arven Ingar. And then it's always been sitting there as a possible song for Conception to use, but we never used it. And then now going through everything, then we dug out that demo, and then we thought it's cool to pop it on here.
Yeah, it I think it does work beautifully as instrumental track. No offense, Roy.
I agree, it's a cool track.
I was actually amazed. I hadn't heard it for years. I have to say I was really amazed to listen through the whole thing and the whole musical journey that it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I mean, we always had a lot of demos, and but when it came down to composing the actual album, we always took out the essence, the absolute best, the songs that nobody had anything against. I mean, you could even do the lyrics that I wasn't happy with on those songs that were left over. But we always had a quite democratic process when we were putting the albums together, and I can't remember exactly why, because I still think they're really good songs, but for some reason they were put on the table.
I actually remember we had this demo CD that we gave to Tommy, the producer for Parallel Minds, and By Dawn's Early Light was on that. And but he said, no, we're not going to sell guitar lessons.
Okay. That's a quote from Tommy Newton here.
Yeah.
On Parallel Minds' new deluxe edition, there's the Silent Crying demo, which is really cool. Which is, of course, like the orchestration is a little bit more sparse, I think. And there's two live tracks, the title track and Roll the Fire. From which era are they? When do you remember when they were recorded?
They're recorded on that Power Metal tour, our very first gigs outside Norway. We did this tour with Gamma Ray and Rage and a band called Helicon, like a four-piece tour, and so this was probably recorded in Hamburg, I think.
Hamburg, yeah.
Very cool, yeah.
So, by very eager musicians, abroad for the first time, full of adrenaline and excitement.
Yeah, before we really jump into In Your Multitude, I wanted to ask you how you remember those heydays, like touring with the scene. How was it for you as a new metal band in the 90s? I think a lot of like if you look at the music history, it's always said in the 90s metal died out because grunge came and whatever. But I have the feeling, looking at bands like Gamma Ray or Rage or Halloween or the and Conception in more proggy vein, or also from the US, Psychotic Waltz, or of course Dream Theater, Face Warning, they had some really strong albums also in the like beginning of the 90s. And so how was it touring, and how did the scene feel for you back then?
You got to remember that when we did the melodic metal tour, we just had a handful of really poorly attended shows here in Norway. I mean, there were some people, but I mean, compared to what we were headed for, that was like nothing. So when we eventually landed the record deal with Noise, and we're thrown out on stages that had, venues that could hold like 3,500 people, that was the learning curve was like that. Yeah, it was steep, but it was an adventure, and we were recognized as, we were very nervous and anxious, but we were also at the same, we knew we had something, right? And from the first gig, we gained so much respect both from the audience and the other bands that we pretty quickly, felt quite comfortable with the idea of maybe potentially becoming rock stars one day. I think we felt like rock stars already back then. Although we didn't make any money, but
no, it's a very, very cool way you put it there. Like exactly that. We were a little anxious, and at the same time, we thought we were going to conquer the world. Yeah. So it was like this mix of all emotions and excitement. So much excitement, I remember.
And that confidence just grew, with as the tour went along. And I remember the last show in Erlangen, my voice was shot. I was so sick. But that show was awesome. And I had such great fun. I didn't think I was going to be able to sing at all, but that was probably the best show on the whole tour. I remember lots of fans came in from Japan, and the venue was packed, and it was just an awesome way to end the tour.
Wow. Yeah. Moving on into 1995, I already held this into the camera a couple of times, but I also got a bigger version. This one, that is, you guys probably know what's inside, right?
Yep.
Of course, it's gonna fall out, but yeah, there's this mask.
Yeah.
You wear it a lot.
And yeah, the clear vinyl single with Guilt and Sundance. And actually, I discovered this funny little letter. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The extra maxi single.
Yeah, you could send it in and get it for 11 Deutschmark or 18 Deutschmark if you were outside of Germany.
Did you ever get it?
No, I just
You can send in. I don't have it either.
I managed to get a copy. I heard that's being sold for like ridiculous money. That's black vinyl there.
What was on the other maxi single that you could get with this letter? Do you remember?
It was a Spanish type track we did called Sundance.
And Guilt, wasn't it?
Well, that was on the clear vinyl.
I wonder if there was some kind of a special cut of Among the Gods where it was like a little edited. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like I said, I don't have it.
Something for the super hardcore fans who collect everything, they probably know it. I'm just glad that I got all Conception albums in some form or the other. Yeah, as I said, In Your Multitude was my first contact with conception, and I immediately fell in love. And as you just talked about the excitement of going on stage and playing this music live, I remember being like 15, 16 and discovering this. That was also an amazing excitement. So yeah, thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
How was the In Your Multitude time for conception, and how was it maybe different to Parallel Minds?
I think time-wise, we noticed a big change because we had Noise Records that signed us was owned by a guy called Carl Walterbach. And he came personally up to see us up in Norway, and he really cared for the band in a very strong way. And then he sold his company, so we could feel, a little different vibe with the company, maybe you could say. And with Parallel Minds, we had done 3 tours, and then step by step we put out In Your Multitude, and then we're not touring that much anymore, which was for us a little boring. We wanted to be out there and feel that energy and meet the fans. And that's part of what this whole thing is about.
Yeah. I can't remember what the question was. What was the question?
So how was the time like in Your Multitude for conception for the band? How was it different to Parallel Minds?
Out of all our records, I feel the least of a difference is between Parallel Minds and In Your Multitude. I felt the leap from Last Sunset to Parallel Minds was, and from Multitude to Flow were bigger than between those two. So I can't really. But like Tor said, though, In Your Multitude was in a way the famous number 2. I mean, we had great success with Parallel Minds. I guess we, somehow felt the pressure of making something at least as good as Parallel Minds, but I can't really remember, anything like being way different. It was the same studio, same people, same producer, in the same place, and we did demos in the same place. So the process was quite similar. I would say that In Your Multitude is maybe a little bit more guitar focused in a way compared to Parallel Minds.
Feels a little more, for me. It feels a little more epic, maybe.
What does that mean?
It's
epic.
It says epic mean. That's a good question.
So, Tor, is that a stick or a snake? What you were just showing us?
No, I think it's actually a blackadder. I'm still here.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh.
It's a baby.
That's the only
blackadder
snake we have in.
I'm not going to get too close.
Careful.
Yeah, it's the second blackadder I see this year.
Wow.
That'd be quite a scoop, though. Guitar player dies. Blackadder.
And we're going to sell out the records.
Yeah.
But seriously though.
Right, let's go back. Oh, epic. What is epic?
No, yeah, but I mean, that was kind of joking. But I think
that was fun. Okay.
We were dealing with like lyrically, and we were dealing with maybe like larger universal existential issues, and I think that was result of the music being inviting to that, and I know that most people feel that In Your Multitude is more progressive than Parallel Minds, but I also have a problem, at least for myself, defining the word or the term progressive, because I've always felt we were progressive in the sense that we always moved forward. We always wanted to change. We never wanted to repeat ourselves. And to me, that is true progression. But in the common sense of the word, I guess most people will perceive In Your Multitude as slightly more progressive as than our other releases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree to that. So, favorite song?
For me, it's A Million Gods. And it's still one of my absolute favorites to play live. And it's not because I get to play so much, but it's really fun and it's always challenging. It's a tough track, It takes a lot of focus, a lot of strange rhythm going against each other, and it's a lot of energy in that one. So that's definitely that one, and the title track are my two faves.
Yeah, I think the title track is my favorite In Your Multitude.
I can't argue against that. That's also probably one of my favorite guitar solos.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
And now it changes the harmony gradually. Wonderful. Yeah. Really great album. And as you said, conception never really stood still and never always tried to just, be progressive in the not the generic sense, but in true sense. So Flow was obviously in 1997 was very, very different to In Your Multitude, as it most of the tracks were like really concise and short and to the point and groovy, very groovy. How was Flow for you? How what's your memories with Flow?
Well, first I have to say exactly what you said about groovy. It felt like with this album it really matured a lot further as musicians, all of us, and there was a lot of emphasizing the grooves, and we even put in some electronica pieces to it, and start to experiment, a little bit more towards that direction as well. And felt we had really strong songs. And heading into that studio, we were quite sure. Yep, this is by far the best record so far we're about to record.
Again, same studio, same producer, right? Tommy Newton.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And but like I said earlier, we wanted to. Part of it was also we wanted to do something completely different, and we were already labeled as a progressive band. We were in the, we had that progressive label on us, and I think that was part of it, that we wanted to, be different from that, whatever that was. I also think that albums like the Black Album, for example, that came out years earlier, had an impact on us. I remember going back from Oslo with you, Tora, and we had just picked up Metallica's Black Album. We listened to it and was like, wow, damn, that's different. But they they really, it's like they captured the essence of the band in a way. And although Tora and myself very often get a lot of the wowing from fans and journalists, you got to remember that Ingar and Arve, bass and drums, they're such an important part of this whole concept. That without that, really, really groovy, and I mean it's like groove with a feel. It's just something really out of this world. What those two guys together can produce, and it's almost physical. Sometimes when you really feel that everything is in line, it's magical, and I really feel that they also got to truly shine on Flow in a different way, of course. But
couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the groove, like tell me when I'm gone. That's one of the most amazing grooves ever. it's just so freaking groovy. So how was the reception then for Flow?
It was a little mixed. Some people, I think, expected us to continue on the more, further from In the Multitude, the Parallel Minds. and we're maybe ready for the sound we introduced with Flow. What's funny is that a lot of those have come back later and said, "Yeah, well, now I understand this album," which is also kind of funny. There was a mixed reception.
Yeah, I think it's not a big secret that most people felt that we were changing too fast. I mean, we had established a pretty solid fan base with those first records, and like I said earlier, the leap from In Your Multitude to Flow was considerable one, and we may have went ahead too fast on changing the sound like that in just between two albums. But we didn't. I mean, we were so happy when we delivered that record. We totally felt that this was it again.
Yep. Yeah. No. Yes.
And yeah, the when we saw the reactions, we kind of went like, oh, okay. But we were still very sure that I mean, I still love Flow, and you know, I'm still very proud of that album. But maybe we went ahead a little bit too fast with changing. But then again, we never really thought about what was smart to do business wise. We just put down the music that we felt was on our hearts at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
We should still do it.
Yeah, which I'm also proud of that we always did. We never cared about what times we're in. Then we would probably have played grunge in the mid '90s if that was important. So it's we always do what we feel. Yeah. And I think that's also what makes us gets our uniqueness in a way.
Yeah, well then for a couple of years you didn't feel Conception, I guess. You were feeling Camelot and Arc and different projects. But yeah, you're back together for quite some years now. There was a lovely, amazing, I dare say, little EP after a couple of years in 2018. State of Deception. And together with the big brother, with the album My Dark Symphony, I think
you mixed it up now. You did. First.
EP first, My Dark Symphony, then album State of Deception.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
You better be, young man.
It was the other way around. Of course, I was like, wait. How was this? Which was which? Of course, My Dark Symphony was the EP, and then the album came, and it also like what you can see in the artwork, they kind of belong together a little bit, but as a both, no matter if it's the EP or the album, I feel those are the most diverse Conception works. In itself, like before you had these changes from one album sound to one album sound that was kind of contained in that album from that era. Mm-hmm. And now there's really, really different sounding songs on the EP and or on the album, right?
I think the reason is there's like a 15-year span, or maybe more. Like 15-year span between those the first bulk of albums till these two, and it's also a point that these songs were mainly written, all of them, both the EP and the songs for the album for State of Deception, were written in somewhat the same period. Most of the songs were at least demoed before we went ahead and did the EP. So we knew that we had, some good stuff coming for the LP. We didn't announce it, but we kind of knew what we had. And I guess that together with everybody maturing individually, finding ourselves as musicians and songwriters, getting accustomed to our instruments over years of professional careers. And songwriting, I guess that all together, help those two records sound more like a one, than the rest of the albums where everything was being tried out, and we were still, young and searching and trying to find our way, back in the 90s.
Yeah, and I think also this new album that really reflects all these years of life experience also.
Yeah.
It's not only about musical influence, it's about what happens in life and what you've been through in both good and bad, and how you see the world. And so that's probably also shaping up, the different, what should I say, different energies from song to song.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is as important as any musical influence that we've had coming over these years since last time.
Yeah. So what sparked this? Like, I mean, you did a brief live reunion in 2005, kind of halfway through the big hiatus years. But now this time it feels like you're really back for good. You're really active on social media. You're engaging with the fans, with the Patreon campaigns, and just like I think the like 1.5 weeks ago, you were on the conception camp with the fans in the Norwegian wilderness, right?
Yeah. That was great.
It was great fun, fantastic time.
That's maybe the most fun thing we do. Well, okay, playing and presenting these songs in front of a live audience is great, but those camps are super fun. Yeah, sorry.
I think that sounds very, very intriguing. If you ever do one again, I might just join you. So yeah.
I promise you, it's a lot of fun, a lot of experience. And we've been so lucky also, like all the fans that came. They've also been so great. We've been all having such a great time, like one big family on tour.
Yeah. How did it happen that you came back together as this 4-piece, as this like the band conception, and then wrote this amazing new music? A couple of years ago. What sparked this newfound enthusiasm for conception?
All these years we've been staying friends, seeing each other. Roy and I have even shared the house for a while, where we even had Camelot coming, staying. Ark came, stay there. So we've always been, in contact, been friends. Then there was, when was it? So many years ago already. I think like 2016 maybe.
Yeah.
Where I was like going through some. We were sitting writing some different stuff, and then it felt so conception when I was writing. So and I was going to Oslo because I live in Stockholm, Sweden. I was going to Oslo, and then I was going to hook up with Arve because we've been jamming from time to time, and now we hadn't jammed for a couple of years. So I told him I have some ideas, could we check that out? Which we did, and then we jammed a little, and it felt fantastic. And then I met up with Roy, and I played him some stuff. And he really liked it, and then it just felt like everyone was ready. It was not like a big process, so evaluating was like, now is the time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wanted to go ahead a little bit, carefully. I had this humongous burnout at the end of my Camelot days, and when Tori and Arve came to me, or Tori presented these new tracks to me, I still had that fresh in mind, although it had been 5 years. But there was something about these tracks that just sparked off something in me. I don't know if it reminded me of the good old days, but I'm a circus horse, I kind of knew that it was only a matter of time until we're gonna jump out there again and do this thing. I just love music and heavy metal. And then we started off with a writing session, and more songs came to life, and it just gradually grew into these two albums.
Yeah, we went into the flow, and that's also so great because as soon as we started writing together, and especially Roy and I went up to the Norwegian mountains to be all by ourselves. And sorry, some stuff in my eye. Fly, I think. So we were really, having a smooth time and a great time. A lot of fun also writing. New stuff came, and new stuff came, and new stuff came. So it felt really amazing to be back doing this.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, obviously this kind of reunion that you also wanted to celebrate live across Europe was kind of thrown some curveballs with the pandemic and all. But I really hope that you can keep it going, and also you'll be able to play live again in more countries, and keep the flow and keep the spark. What's the next immediate things in Conception Camp that's coming up in?
Well, right now we're focusing on these re-releases. It's been quite a bit of work putting all this together, but the whole process, collaborating with BMG on doing it has been awesome, but a lot of work, and of course there has been a lot of work with the different kind of things all the way. You got to remember that these days we do everything ourselves, everything, everything. We hiring people to do certain parts, but as opposed to our record label days, there's a lot of work. But right now we're focusing on this re-release. We have the deluxe box, which also has been a lot of work. There's some live shows, and there's a tour coming up in the autumn. And I think we just have to focus on this now. But I'm sure there's going to be more. We all write each on our side, but we're focusing on what's right in front of us now.
And then we really look forward to get back on tour. So we have this festival we're headlining in outside Trondheim in Norway, end of October, and then next spring we finally get to do our European dates, which we're really looking forward to.
Yeah, I do know that this I was always looking also with the reschedule. There's no date in southern Germany, I think, but maybe I'll be able to go somewhere and see you guys. And also I hope that my good friend and colleague Rune from Trondheim, who couldn't join us today as a guest host, Uncle Prog, he also used to be a host for the Prog Talks. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us, but he bought your first record from your own record company back then,
great.
The Last Sunset, and he also saw you guys live back then. And I really hope that he also will be able to catch you when you play in Trondheim later this year, because he told me that he didn't have the chance to see you now after the reunion.
All right, so we're looking forward to see him in Trondheim then.
I will pass that on, and I will make sure to tell him that you guys gonna play. And you guys out there listening, of course, you if you wanna stay up to date with all things Conception, don't forget to follow them on their socials everywhere. And yeah, I think that was a really, really cool deep dive into the Conception discography. Thank you guys so much, Roy Kahn and Tore Østby from Conception. Thank you for taking the time and talking to us here on the Prog Talks.
It's been a pleasure. Been a great pleasure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. You guys out there, thank you so much for listening. As always, also don't forget to like and subscribe to our socials, the Progspace, for more prog stuff, and also a cup of coffee or some merch in our shop. Really highly appreciated your support, that we can keep supporting those cool bands out there. This was a very special episode. We hope to bring you from time to time more special episodes, but the regular Prog Talks episodes drop on Wednesdays, usually with new releases and cool up and coming and also smaller bands. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and please let us know next time you have a Blackadder on the show.
Okay. I'll be sure to do that. So until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones and keep spreading that prog love.
The Prog Talks, produced by the Progspace. Main host, Rune Belsvik Reinås. Produced by Rune Belsvik Reinås, Vanessa and Matthias Kirsch. All graphics and animations by Vanessa Kirsch. Intro theme by Giuseppe Negri. Outro theme by Zach Munowitz. This was the Prog Talks by the Progspace. See you in a week.